I don't even think it's about winning awards. I don't think it's about having full technical know-how. And it's certainly not what brand you shoot with. So what is it that makes you a good photographer? In this video, what makes you a good working photographer? Because they are not the same. A good photographer is more than just someone who can click a button, right? But a good working photographer isn't just someone who can click a button. It's someone who can run a business, understands nuance. Because I'll be honest, if you're a working photographer and you can't deliver consistent results in the time frame that you've stated that you're going to deliver them in, and you aren't good at dealing with money or running the business side, I would suggest you're not a good working photographer, because they all go part and parcel of being a photographer in an industry where you are selling a service. If you are a photographer who doesn't do that and does it as a hobbyist, you could very well be a good photographer. And that's why people win awards, because they're amazing and they spend a lot of time on them. Equally, working photographers can win those awards. But don't confuse the fact that you win awards automatically means you are going to have an amazing business, because that's a misconception I see very often. Knowing your camera settings is like an entry level to professional photography. It is not the crown, though. A good photographer knows how to adapt when the weather goes crap. They know when something isn't working, the lighting's not great, a bride's having a bad day, a couple of rows, you have to read the room. There's so much more that goes into being a good working photographer than simply just being able to take a pretty picture. And I think there is a mix between the two. And the reason I bring this up is I've had 2 conversations in the last 4 days with photographers who were friends of mine who have said, hey, I didn't win this award, I'm really disappointed, I can't believe I'm not good enough for this. It doesn't matter that you didn't win that award, honey. It doesn't matter. The fact you put your work in should be applauded for you. Just because you didn't win or place doesn't mean your work is terrible. It just means when the judges were looking at it, they found stuff that they favoured more. It's a personal choice. Yes, they might have little parameters they have to fill in, and that's great. But you're asking those those few people to judge your work and hoping you appeal to them. Everyone has their own taste and own flavours, okay? Once I submitted a piece of work that didn't rate anywhere in any of the judging panels, and yet a really high-end magazine paid to have it featured in their magazine. So just goes to show, just because you don't win awards, it doesn't mean your work's not got value. Picture the scene, if you will. Just picture the scene, if you will. A couple of years ago, I paid a lot of money to have a photographer take pictures of me for a branding shoot I wanted to do. I was fed up of doing my own, okay? What happened was I had to spend ages doing back and forth, because they were like, tell me what days you're available, when's your calendar open, blah, blah, blah. We did this, and it took so long for them to reply to me, I almost didn't book them. Eventually, the booking went through, and on the day of arrival, I didn't get a reminder that my shoot was due, although I had it in the calendar. Just those warm touch points really mean something. I was paying a lot of money, and even by today and more of my knowledge, I was still paying a lot, okay? So then I show up on the shoot, the person has no idea what we're doing, and they knew it was a branding shoot, but the mood boards I sent through, they were like, oh, I haven't got them to hand, could you pull them up? Which was not a problem, because that's, I had them on hand. But they were like, oh, I don't have those colours, I don't have that, I don't have that. I was like, okay, but we discussed this at length, the kind of colours I wanted to go through. As it turned out, the whole session was really good, but again, didn't really get what I wanted out of it. But what annoyed me more was the fact that the images took ages to get to me. Now, the contract that he had sent once, and then the link wasn't working. He'd sent again, and then I had to create an account for the sign-in, which was, yeah, I want smooth transition, hence why I use Studio Ninja. You know where this was going to go, right? You watch enough of these videos. Yeah, there's a discount code in the description below. But anyway, so I got my images 4 weeks later than I should have got them. I got them through a WeTransfer. When there was a problem with one of the images, I sent back saying, hey, there's something wrong with this image, this isn't what I selected. And he said, oh damn, okay, give me a bit and I'll go back to them. So 2 weeks after that, I got the image I'd originally selected. So it was quite a long time. Now, this photographer had great reviews, but weirdly, when I spoke to other people about my experience, they said, yeah, we had that as well, but yeah. So for me, I think a great photographer is someone who understands the client experience a lot more, and therefore invests in it, because they know that's what's going to give that warm fuzzy feeling to your clients. When my clients book with me, they get a reminder when their shoot is, they get a questionnaire, they get a file system so they can log any pictures they want on my system so I can see it when I access their record. I really like that. It keeps me that warm fuzzy feeling for all my clients, and it's something that I really value, and I think that makes me stand out. Might not be the most groundbreaking photographer in the world, but I do pride myself on my client experience, and that starts from the moment they look or inquire to book with me right to the very end when the image is delivered and they get their client satisfaction questionnaire. A good photographer, in my opinion, sets boundaries, sets expectations early, and it basically has good working practices and also knows how to say no. So a good photographer will say, hey, I can't do that. But more importantly, I think it's really important that you know how to handle complaints without going absolutely nuts about it. And don't spiral on someone questions them. I think you should be able to address the issue yourself. I don't mind asking for opinions, but sometimes I've seen people who've literally gone onto Instagram stories and slate a client who is still their client. They're still trying to resolve an issue, but they're going for their client on their stories. If I can see it, I bet your client can. You could be the most incredibly talented photographer who wins all the awards, but if you leave your clients feeling like they're in a chaotic atmosphere, it's confusing, and you don't deliver like you say, you are not going to stay a good photographer with a good reputation for long, no matter how many awards you get. Something I don't think we talk enough about is emotional intelligence and just how we relate to our clients, okay? So it's managing nerves on a day, it's managing expectations, family dynamics, all those things. That will set us apart from every other photographer, I think. It's those little human skills that we learn, those people skills that we learn that will set us apart, and clients will remember that. I just want to say, I don't care how well your technical skills are, if you can't read a room, especially at a wedding, it's not going to save you. You need to learn that. A good photographer is not the person with the loudest audience or followers or the fanciest studio. It's really not. It's the one who understands price management, tax awareness, cost tracking, and so much more. Like even reinvestment strategy. When was the last time you invested in your future? When was the last time you went, do you know what, I'm going to go have some education and do better? I think so many photographers would do so better for themselves if they attended workshops and events a lot more. Like I said this in the video at the societies, why aren't people going to events? There's so much education there which could benefit you. Like go along, like go to the photo and video show, go to the societies. It's such a good thing. And I think a lot of photographers are not doing it, and I've never understood that. If you want to be a great photographer, it isn't just about taking pretty pictures, it's about learning and continuing to learn. I want to be incredibly clear, awards are great. They are fantastic, but they're not the metric in which we measure who is a good and who is not a good photographer. There are many great photographers who never enter awards. They make a very good living. They're highly praised. And there are some photographers who never enter awards and win awards because people submit on their behalf or recognize their talent. And there are photographers who are incredible and win loads of awards and are great photographers to work with. And there are equally people on the opposite end of the scale who are absolutely atrocious or slightly bad or whatever. The difference is, if you want to be a good working photographer, it isn't about chasing the awards. They're nice to have, they're the icing, but if you can't build the cake, what is the point? No, I know you're going to say to me, Khandie, how do I be a better photographer then? Well, rather than say I'm a great photographer, how about how do I better serve my clients with the service I provide? I think also a lot of photographers, and I know you're going to hate me on this one, my darlings, you're a business owner, so start treating it as a business and spend more time with your marketing and understand your client experience than you do anything else. I love entering for awards. I love it. I do it at the BIP regularly as I can. I do it at the societies regularly as I can, and a few others, right? But they are, if I've got time and if I want to do it. I've never submitted a panel, please understand. I really should do that because I'd like to do that. But when I don't use the awards as, oh, that's proof I'm an amazing photographer. No, for me, I look at the awards, that was proof that I know how to create work like that. And that makes me a great person for photographing that. I don't necessarily think it makes me the most incredible photographer in the world, and it doesn't make me elevate above anybody else. Awards are great, but if you can't do the end product of it, like running a studio, running a business effectively, time management, money management, then you have a bigger problem than just the fact that all you can do is win awards. I made some notes on what I saw when people were saying, what do you think makes a good photographer? Because I ran this on my Instagram stories. This is a good time for you to go follow me because we can interact there, but also I ran this. So this is what people are saying makes a good working photographer: delivers consistently, communicates clearly, markets strategically, handles conflict professionally, manages money responsibly, adapts technically and quickly, and understands people. And I said, ones I put in was they build trust with their client and their client base and thinks long term. There's nothing in the immediacy. They're thinking longer. They're projecting longer. Because you notice what's not at the top? Gear, viral moments, or awards. And I'm going to talk very specifically about viral moments because I wasn't going to include this in a video, but I'm now going to include it. We do not want to chase virality. I know there's a lot of people are like, I need to do help my marketing, but let me tell you, someone who has a marketing, should we say, social media analyst background, actually. So when you chase virality, what you're doing is kind of putting yourself on this treadmill. So you may eventually get a video that goes viral, right? But you're at the top, okay, at the top of this peak. And if suddenly you no longer reach that top with your next one and you drop, that's a mighty long drop, which tells the algorithm you're not that interesting and not that good, which makes it harder then to market your work. You want your marketing to be more of a flow up than a straight hill climb, okay? It's gonna have peaks and troughs for you to try things out. I've been doing it on my own social media. Go check my Instagram. I've been trying things, experimenting, doing stuff, and then looking at my analytics and looking at what worked and what didn't work, what times work, what do I need to put in front of it, doing more, because that's all part of my marketing, okay? And it's not all about jumping and trying to get viral. It's about building trust with my clients and showing them stuff that maybe it's problem solving, maybe it's humoring them, maybe it's just educating them on something, right? Something like that. Now, for me, I try to target both clients and photographers because I talk a lot and I educate a lot. I talk a lot, but when I'm doing my content, I want it to be interesting to them, okay? So when I do my reels, I try to do at least one for a client every 4 reels, and then the rest of them are for photographers because I'm in the lead up to my big talking period this year. So I want it to be like that. It makes sense. It's planned in my marketing. Does that make me an exceptional content creator? No, but you can definitely see I'm learning and developing and going along. I mean, one of my clips I knew would go semi-okay because it was on a very clickbaity topic. So yeah, but I also don't chase virality because it's never good for business. So if you win awards, good for you. I love awards. I will keep entering awards. I love them. But don't use that as some way to promote the fact that you are amazing, because if you can't get client satisfaction, you are a good photographer for winning awards, but you're maybe not a good working photographer, okay? Don't let the lack of trophies question your value in this industry. I don't want that to ever happen. And also, just from a personal thing with the people I've spoken to, some people who win loads of awards are really struggling to get bookings, and it's tough out there enough. But imagine being all award winning and still struggling to get bookings. That doesn't tell you something. I'm not saying that the awards have stopped them getting bookings, but some people focus so heavily on that, they forget the rest of the stuff. You don't have to be a good photographer to make a good living in photography, but you do have to be a photographer who understands your client expectation and deliver what they ask for or what you agree to, okay? So for me, this isn't a hate on awards. This is go get those awards. They're great to win. They're a great dopamine and they're great for your ego. And I have no problems with that, okay? But what I want you to remember is being a good photographer is not to be confused with being a good working photographer. They are two different beasts. I've been Khandie. This has been great, and I'll see you soon.